Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something super interesting and honestly incredibly important. We're looking at a real-life cautionary tale straight from the trenches of pig farming. It's called The Fatal Cost of Guessing: Lessons in Pig Medication. So, if you're the kind of learner who appreciates the hard, messy truths you just can't get from reading a textbook, well, you're in exactly the right place. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's dive into this. Picture this, it's a typical day on the farm. The boss is away and our farmer, who's still kind of new to the whole livestock management thing, is left completely in charge. He looks out at his herd and makes a totally routine decision. He decides it's time to deworm his pigs. Just 7 pigs. Sounds like a completely straightforward task, right? Well, this perfectly captures the exact moment things started to go off the rails. The farmer's internal monologue was basically, you know what? I thought I understood what I was supposed to do. Armed with that rather dangerous sense of false confidence, he heads to the supply room, grabs the deworming medication, and administers it to all 7 animals. He gave every single pig what he genuinely believed was the perfect amount. But then, he makes a split-second decision. And I want to ask you this directly. Can you mix dewormer and multivitamins? Like, what would you assume if you were just standing there in the barn? Well, our novice farmer, he assumed it was totally fine. He figured, hey, let me just deworm them and give them vitamins at the exact same time. So, for just 2 out of those 7 pigs, he casually mixed these 2 completely different treatments together before giving them the shot. Fast forward to the very next day, a really devastating tragedy strikes the farm. Out of the 7 pigs he treated, exactly 2 of them died. And yes, it was the exact same 2 pigs that received that unverified mixture of the dewormer and the multivitamin. It was an absolute shock to the farmer. Now, it's really crucial here to understand the difference between timing and causation. To be perfectly objective and scientifically neutral, we can't say with 100% certainty that the mixed medication directly caused those deaths. In any dynamic farming environment, there could always be other biological factors at play. But man, the timing of this tragic event was an unforgettable, glaring wake-up call. It drove home a really brutal reality. Animal medication is absolutely not something you can just casually experiment with. That specific tragedy led directly to a major shift in how the farm operated, bringing us to the 4 rules of medication. Because just holding a bottle of medicine definitely doesn't mean you automatically know how to use it. Let's break these down. Rule 1 is foundational. Know your medication. The source material is super clear on this warning. You can't just grab a bottle off the shelf just because you saw someone else use it once upon a time. You actually have to understand its exact purpose. Like, what specific condition does this treat, and exactly how is it supposed to be administered? If you can't answer those questions clearly, that bottle needs to stay firmly on the shelf. Moving right along, we arrive at Rule 2, correct dosage. So dosage is the specific amount of medicine required, and it's heavily dependent on the animal's weight, the specific product formula, and the manufacturer's strict instructions. And let me really emphasize this. Dosage is absolutely, categorically, never something you should try to guess. Eyeballing it is simply not an option when an animal's well-being is literally on the line. No way. And that brings us directly back to the catalyst of our story, Rule 3, never assume medicines can be mixed. This was the specific, fatal mistake made on the farm that day. Look, just because one medicine is a helpful dewormer and another is a seemingly harmless multivitamin, it doesn't automatically mean they're chemically safe to combine in a single syringe. Combining treatments requires strict, expert verification, or at the very least, rigorously checking the product instructions. Finally, we have Rule 4, the injection route. This covers the correct physiological pathway, the exact anatomical site, the necessary hygiene standards, and the physical technique needed to administer a specific medication. The source notes a really vital distinction here. Merely knowing how to physically hold a plastic syringe is vastly different from knowing the proper biological technique to safely inject an animal. Every single one of those specific details matters immensely. Having learned these harsh lessons, the farmer fundamentally changed his approach, which brings us to the new protocol. Let's look at this structured plan to replace those dangerous assumptions. Let's see how this builds into a foolproof system using a strict 4-step checklist.
Step 1. Confirm the exact medication. Step 2. Thoroughly check the manufacturer's printed instructions. Step 3. Precisely determine the correct dose based on the specific animal and product. And Step 4, which is honestly the ultimate safety net, if you are unsure about absolutely anything, ask a qualified veterinary expert before doing anything else. This systematic approach completely removes all the dangerous guessing from the equation.
So, you can really see the clear contrast between the old mindset and the new one. In the past, the casual assumption was simply, let me deworm them and give them vitamins. It sounds so harmless, right? But the hard-earned reality of the new mindset is that guessing is incredibly expensive. And on a farm, guessing doesn't just cost money, it can literally cost lives. The ultimate takeaway here, for anyone dealing with livestock or really learning any complex new skill, is perfectly captured in this powerful quote from the farmer. He said, "There is nothing wrong with saying, 'I'm not sure. Let me confirm first.'" It is so remarkably tempting to pretend like you know what you're doing, especially when you're a novice trying to look professional. But you know what? You don't have to know everything from day one. You simply must be willing to learn, check your ego at the door, and most importantly, be willing to ask questions. Which brings us to our final thought for today's explainer. What costly mistake has taught you the biggest lesson? Take a moment to really reflect on that, whether it's in your own life, your studies, or your profession. I want to thank you so much for joining me and engaging with this explainer today. Your focus and curiosity are what make exploring these topics so rewarding. If you have your own real farm stories or hard-earned lessons, keep sharing them and keep on learning. I'll see you next time.